All right, it's June 20, 2022. This is a Tradovate walkthrough, which is something that has been requested on multiple occasions. And most of the time, I just keep with the same answer that I always give. Tradovate has their own YouTube page, and they have these really great 2-minute videos explaining all of the basic, normal, regular things that somebody would want to know to be able to use their product. And yet I still get the walkthrough question all the time. Hey, can you show us how to use this thing? Now, one of the things that I've picked up along the way is somebody who is not doing good on one broker will think, well, I'm going to go to another broker, as if suddenly you're going to stop sucking at trading and just miraculously start winning because, well, you changed brokers and maybe that broker is going to be the change that you needed to suddenly be a good trader. Nope. If you suck now and you change brokers, you're still going to suck on the other side, right? It isn't going to change just because you change brokers. Now, having said that, I really believe that comfort with brokers is important. And just like with the difference between, a foam pillow and a feather pillow, you may not be able to articulate why you want one kind of broker over another, but it doesn't matter if you can tell someone or explain to someone why you like a particular broker. The only thing that matters is that you like a particular broker. And unfortunately, the only real way to find out if you're going to like a broker is to go try it. Asking somebody what the right broker is or the best broker or a better broker really doesn't do it, right? It's like someone trying to explain to you why Nike's better than Reebok or Pepsi's better than Coke. It's their opinion. And I don't really care what other people's opinions are. So, asking somebody about their opinion, it's kind of a waste of my time. I don't care what somebody else thinks. And they're probably not going to have an opinion that I want to hear anyways. So let's go ahead and get started up. When you start your Tradovate for the first time, it's going to have a default, what they call workspace. These workspaces are like a window. A lot of brokers work this way. So in the upper left corner of the screen, there is a plus sign way up there, right? You can see it way up there. And that little plus sign is where you can go to either start a new workspace or add to your existing workspace. It always freaks me out when I see traders say something like, oh, wait, was the market closed today? What kind of trader are you? You didn't realize that there was a holiday coming? Like last week, coming into the weekend, you didn't know that there was going to be a holiday this week? Wow. How's your account love you? And so we're going to hit that plus sign. And when we get in there, you'll notice they have all of these different choices and they have templates that you can name, right? Now, this is really useful because every once in a while, they're going to update the platform and wipe out all of your settings. And that sucks. You don't want to have to go in and rebuild everything from scratch. So it's always good to make sure that you save your workspace. Generally, if you only have one, it's already saved, right? It just won't have a name to it. You can share them, which means you can put it in your trade journal and then you can swap it out. Tradovate also is on mobile and it's on the web. And when I'm on the web, I've noticed that you can't have multiple workspaces open, right? You get that workspace that you're on. So I tend to use a different setting when I'm on the web. And so I just save that, right? And then I've got my web version and I've got my desktop version. They used to have 2 different mobile apps, but now they only have one. It's a little funky, but it gets the job done. And by that, it means I can leave my computer if I'm already in a trade and feel comfortable with the idea that I can watch that trade and get out of it if I need to. I don't try to trade on mobile. I avoid it if I absolutely can, but I like knowing that I can take it with me and exit positions on the mobile. So they have two different charts. One is called a legacy chart, and then we just have the regular chart. At some point, they're going to get rid of, quote, legacy. And the difference is they used to only have one chart, and it was just this basic default auto zooming chart that would go from candle high to candle low. And you really couldn't do much about that. If you wanted gaps across the top or bottom, or if you wanted to squeeze in, zoom out, you really couldn't do any of that stuff. And then you had almost no color choices like we do now. But that legacy chart was replaced by their more modern chart about a year ago. And they still keep the old one around, but they've got the new one that they just call chart. So to keep the difference, we've got legacy, what the original charting was all along. And then we've got the new version, which is what they just call chart. So I wouldn't get too comfortable with legacy charts. They're going to get rid of them at some point, and it'll just have chart. Watch lists on Tradovate are called the quote board. This usually goes back to brokers trying to offer something that other brokers don't have. It's a watch list. It's just a watch list. But if they can say our platform has a quote board and we're the only broker out there that offers you a quote board, well, then they get to sound like they got something special. But it's nothing special. It's just a watch list. The reason we would want to use a watch list is so that we can jump between different products without having to go in and set every one of those products on it, right? So for an example, I'm on the NASDAQ, the use, and I've got a 1 minute, a 5 minute, and a 10-minute chart. So that's between 3 different time and sales, 1 dome, and 3 charts. That's a lot of things to change. I want to be able to change it with just the click of the mouse. I don't want to have to go in to every one of those products and then type in what it is that I want to see. So the watch list is useful to synchronize all of those different tools to the watch list, just like on Thinkorswim, where you can match the link of the color and then jump into different products the same way. If you load anything off of this screen into your existing workspace, you have to hold the button down to do it. So for an example, if I want a new quote board, I would left click and hold down the mouse. Now I've got that product, I'm moving it around, I can put it wherever I want. So if I want to put it over here on the dome, there we go, I got my quote board. There are some preset watch lists, and then of course you can make your own. So for an example, there is my Bloomberg products, those new futures products that are out. If I left click on that, it gives me a chance to roll. Notice all of the writing is red. That red writing told me that these were not updated products. So just right click, roll the products. And now I've got an updated Bloomberg watch list. I can color code that watch list and synchronize it between all of my charts, my time and sales, all of that good stuff. And of course, you can make your own watch lists just by coming up to the top where it has the plus sign and it says name it. If you click that, it gives you a chance to create a new watch list, name it what you want. One thing that I do like about their watch lists is they let you put headers in it. That's kind of nice. So for an example over here on this watch list, I've got, the little header, S&P, NASDAQ, Russell, precious metals, you can call it whatever you want, but I like being able to add that to separate things. You may notice I have an S&P product here that looks a little different. It's got the @ sign. The @ sign is the equivalent of a Thinkorswim chart. You notice on Thinkorswim, all you have to do is type ES. You don't have to tell it which contract you want, the U, the M. You don't have to do that. It'll just show you this continuous contract. Well, Tradovate will do that as well. You cannot trade the continuous contract, which is nice because if I'm watching the market and I get up and walk away and my cat wants to walk across my keyboard, I don't have to freak out wondering if the cat's going to get me into a trade that I don't want. So if I'm watching the market and I know I'm not really interested in trading at this time, I can just watch it with the @ symbol and I'll know I can't trade it. I don't have to worry about accidentally trying to trade that. The continuous contract allows you to look back a long ways, right? Because it's continuous. You can see back, you can do, your longer term evaluative perspective. And if you were just on the use, for an example, it's only going to go back about a year and then it's going to dry up on you. There wouldn't be anything to look at. So we talked about adding products from this dashboard by holding down the left button. If I wanted to create an entirely new workspace, I'd want to left click on one of these, but not hold down the button. So for an example, if I click on chart and I don't hold the button down, it will create an entirely new workspace starting with the chart. This way we can save multiple workspaces, save different layouts. Now, once we do create a new workspace, it has its own plus sign up there in the upper left. So we can go in there and start adding what we want. We just hold down the button. So if I want the dome, left click, hold the button, bring the dome in, color code it with the other one. Right, so simple, easy, all about just left button, right button. There's not a lot of choices. Most brokers are going to run exactly the same way. They'll have a way for you to add. They'll have a different workspace. This is not too far off the mark from what most brokers are going to do, right? So quote boards are watch lists, charts are charts, the dome is the dome. That's all basic, normal, everyday stuff, right? Orders are orders. So if you have existing orders on multiple products, you can go to the orders screen. This can be orders on different products at the same time. They'll all just stack up in there. Say like trailing stops and things like that. If you are already in positions, just like what it sounds, it's the positions tab. Now the order ticket, this is where you can put in complex things. Most of you don't basis point trade, and most of you don't pairs trade. So, the order ticket is probably going to be something that a lot of you don't use. But if you were to get into multiple dated products and pairs trades, then you would probably find some value in the order ticket. Even with brackets, if you were to go beyond brackets, you could use the order ticket to develop things like an OCO style trade logic. I don't do it myself. I believe they have a video on how to do some kind of OCOs. One cancels other OCO. Since I don't do it, I don't know how to give you the walkthrough on it. I know that this platform will do it and you do it through the order ticket, but I don't trade that way. So all right, so tick stream. This is time and sales. That's all it is. It's just time and sales. But of course, they want to offer you something that other brokers don't have, right? They want to be able to say, oh, well, we got this thing. Everybody has time and sales, but they don't have time and sales. They have tick stream. Yay. It's just time and sales. One thing about their time and sales, they used to be paired with a flow broker, Jigsaw. And a lot of the Jigsaw customers really pushed against Tradovate to design their tools with flow in mind. So their time and sales is pretty damn amazing compared to, say, Thinkorswim. It's not just that a transaction went through here. It will count or accumulate how many contracts were traded before price moved. It will let you know when we tick up or tick down or don't tick at all and just stay in one spot, filling more and more and more orders. So that allows you to identify ceilings and icebergs and recognize blocks and sweeps. And you don't have that on something like TradingView or Thinkorswim. I can't really say with Ninja because I wasn't at Ninja for a very long time, and it's been a long time since I've used my account over there. I still have it, I just don't use it. So maybe you have an advanced time and sales on Ninja, maybe you don't, I don't know. But here, when it goes from a color, like from green to red or red to green, that's how you can tell that you ticked up or ticked down. When it has the black background, that's how you know that orders are being filled, but price didn't move, right? So for an example, 14,110, we ticked down to that spot, and then we filled another contract, and then we filled another contract, and then we jumped 2 ticks. So we went from red to black to green, right? So the time and sales, a more advanced time and sales like this, I find it really useful. I tend to load multiple time and sales, and then I adjust the filter size. It's just like what it sounds like. If the position or the transaction wasn't at least 22 contracts, it won't show up, or 8, or whatever, you know, whatever you set it to. This also helps me identify blocks and sweeps. So it's just a nice visual, right? But it's just time and sales. Tradovate does have options, but it's not an options broker, right? It was never designed for that. They do offer it to a limited degree. It'll get you by. It's kind of okay. But anybody who's a real options trader who's been trading options for a long time, if you were to go in and look at their options, you would realize they don't offer very many strikes, and it's not the optimal situation for wanting to trade options. So while they do have them limited access, I wouldn't recommend trading options here. Code Explorer is because this broker offers community indicators. If you know how to code, you can use the Code Explorer and write your own indicators. From what I've heard, the language is very similar to the language used at TradingView. I don't code with that language, so I don't know. I don't want to say for sure. It looked the same to me when I went in and modified some of the indicators that I liked, but I still don't want to say for sure that it's the same thing. But that's what it's for. The activity log, just like what it sounds like, it will keep track of what you've been doing. It has a chat so that you can reach out with help. Now, I've heard that the chat will also work for institutions or groups of people that are using group accounts. I've never used the group accounts on here, so I don't know what that looks like. I don't think most of us are going to use some kind of group account. So, the idea that I can't cover it is probably not going to be very detrimental to any of us, because I don't think any of us are going to share our account with other traders and let everybody pile in and trade in that account. The accounts tab is because you can have more than one account, and I'm a big fan of that, using multiple accounts. And then it has a news drop down. I don't use this news. Mainly, I find the things that it brings up pointless and worthless. I tend to use news from other locations, but it does have it on there. So if you want to add any of these to your existing workspace, you left click and hold the button down. If you want to create a new workspace, you left click and let the button go, and it'll bring out any of these products. Now, one thing about the watch list that I will point out, it freaked me out at first. I thought the damn thing wasn't working. So right now I'm on the continuous contract of the ES. If I go to the NASDAQ, you can see that the time and sales updated, the DOM updated, but none of my charts updated. And I used to think, oh man, the damn thing isn't working. Well, actually, you just got to go to that chart and then it would work, right? So I went to the chart, it went to the NASDAQ. I go to the next one, it went to the NASDAQ. And I go to the next one, it went to the NASDAQ. So it's not the idea that it didn't work. It's the idea that you still have to visit that chart before it will update to your new selection. All right, same thing again here. I changed the DOM, changed the time and sales. The chart didn't change, but now that I go to the chart, it'll update the chart. Right now, you may notice, say on the 10-minute, everything is scrunched across the top. It's another one that used to freak me out. Just hit the zoom in or the zoom out button and it will reconfigure everything. I don't know why it does that, but it does that, right? So you don't have to go in and try to scroll and manage. Just hit the plus sign or the minus sign and it will readjust itself. So as you can tell from the color scheme, you can change the background, you can change the candle colors. The next thing worth talking about is this area at the top of the chart where it says buy and join. If you turn that on, and we'll turn it on using these settings here. It's called trade mode. So if that's with it turned off. And if you notice, I'm clicking on the chart, nothing happens. And that's nice. Maybe you don't want anything to happen. But if I turn it back on, and now I click on the chart, I get this pop-up menu, and it's asking, hey, do you want to put an order right there? We can put a sell limit order or a buy limit order. That's pretty handy. It used to freak me out because I would just be trying to move the chart and it would have that thing pop up and I'm like, no, I don't want to trade. I was just trying to move the chart. But you get used to it after a little while and it comes in kind of handy. So if you like the idea of being able to just click on the chart and put an order on there, then you want to turn on contract. What is it called? My goodness, this thing is laggy. My computer is laggy. I've been playing Minecraft all morning. Trade mode. I probably should have rebooted before I started streaming. Let's see what else we can do to maybe cut this down a little. The next thing is the contract details. This is your bid and ask and last. I really think they got that in a bad spot, right? Because the slippage recently has been pretty nasty, and it helps to see how violent the bid and the ask is. But your dome and your time in sales are not located at the top of the screen. So if you want to recapture some chart space, you can turn both of those off, and now you see I've got a lot more chart space than I had before. You can reconfigure and redesign these. Say I can put this dome in the lower portion of the screen. You can stack charts left and right, side by side, on top of each other. It all comes down to just holding the button rather than pushing the button and letting go. No big deal. Once you've got a thing on your workspace, you can hit the plus sign and bring in more of that same thing. So right now I have a chart. If I wanted another chart, all I got to do is hit the little plus sign there and add another tab. It will automatically be a chart. Now we can grab things from other locations and put it up there. Not a big deal. But if you already had a chart and you were to hit the plus sign, you would get another chart. All right, so just another way to do the same thing. They do have these neat little achievements on this broker. It'll keep track of, they're like goals, right? Like personal goals, making X amount of money, having X amount of trades in a row. I believe you can like upload those into a community and match your goals against somebody else's goals or achievements. I don't get into that. Kind of makes it feel like a little bit of a video game. So I never really kind of dug down into that, but it is there. They do have a help button. And of course they got the pop out menu here that likes to harass us constantly. I've used the chat feature at like 2 in the morning. I've used it in the afternoon. I've always got a response, and I like that. I like knowing that I can reach out if I need to, and there's somebody there. All right, so you can save templates. If you set everything up just the way you want it and you want to save it, just hit the template list. It's right at the top. You can save it, save template. It'll save your entire workspace with that template. On the indicators, if you scroll down to the bottom, they've got explore community indicators. There's a lot of them. I don't use indicators to trade, and I don't do a lot of research on this broker. I just use Thinkorswim for that. So you can dig around. Last year, they started monetizing or allowing others to monetize indicators. So if you're looking around in the explore community indicators, you may find that you have to buy something that you come across. It sucks, but that's the way it is. So don't be surprised if you're looking around and you find an indicator you think you like, and now suddenly you got to buy it to use it. Otherwise, when you're in there, try to kind of remember who made it so that once you download it and install it, you know where to look to find the darn thing. The gear icon next to the indicator shows you what indicators you've already got loaded. And then it also tells you what product you're on. That's a button, by the way, which I didn't realize when I was new to Tradovate. So when you click the gear icon and this little menu pops up, MNQ U2 on the 5-minute, that's a button. And if I click on that, I get the chart editor. This is where we can swap from candlesticks to line chart or bar chart or whatever it is that we want. It's where we can change the color of the candles. You can turn on and turn off the Globex, the overnight hours. You can show your trades, where you were filled and where you got in and where you got out, because it will connect your entry and your exit points. And you can minimize the number of bars that are loaded. Next to that is the chart settings. Turn on and turn off the grid. It has an entire menu system for showing your order, your trade lines, trades that you already did take, and the entry and exit lines from that. So the show order lines is if I put an order on the dome, say I scroll down here and I put an order on, if I want that order to show up on the chart right there, then I can tell this thing to show my order. If I didn't want it on there, say I want the order but not the line, turn the line off or hide the order completely. Now I did get in and get out, so you can see the little triangle, entry and exit. Here I'm in, it automatically shows this blue line and it shows how many contracts I am in. So it has my entry, tells me how many contracts. If we had on trade mode, I could have just clicked in there and put my sell order in so that as we spiked through, would have got filled, right? It's just doing the same thing different ways. You can put your order on the dome. You can put your order on using the big buttons, and you can put your order on by clicking on the chart. There's no right or wrong to that, but I've found that a combination of the three usually is better than just trying to do one thing all the time. You may notice that there are lines on my chart right now. There's a green line, an orange line, and a red line. The red line is the low of the day, the green line is the high of the day, and the orange line is where we opened in the Globex last night. Those are called price lines or price levels. So when we go to the chart settings, scroll down to price levels, we open that up. The open, the high, the low. It will do last trade price as well, which would be the candle's current location. So if we zoom in here, we can see that kind of a salmon color, that's where the current market is. That way, if it's moving up and down, that line will follow the market, right? And then there is a mid price. Mid would be the middle between the highest point and the lowest point. It does have a settings menu, so you can go in and change all of those to a color that you would like. When it comes to these menus, on Thinkorswim, if you open a menu and you move your mouse away and you click on the chart, the menu falls away. It goes away on its own. Over here, most of the time, if you open up a menu by pushing a button, you have to go back and push that button again to make the menu go away, unless you make a selection off of that menu. right? So I've got price levels here. If I leave that menu up and start clicking around, it doesn't go away. But if I was to make a choice off of this, then it would go away. If I don't want to make a choice at all and I just want it to go away, click the same button again and it goes away. This broker offers TPO charts, point and figure, Renko, Hike and Ashi, bid-ask volume, bars, candles, lines, and that's pretty awesome. I mean, that's a pretty cool broker. I think Sierra Charts is probably the most common broker for TPO. Thinkorswim's got it. They call them monkey bars. I don't know why. Probably goes back to that same thing. They want to be able to offer their clients something and say that they're the only one that has it. So rather than saying that they have TPO charts, they can say, well, we got monkey bars and we're the only broker that has monkey bars, I guess. Yay. But that's a lot. That's a really nice selection of choices when it comes to what kind of chart do you want. You can set your own custom times. They also have some of their own, including seconds-based charting. So if you want a 10-second chart or a 30-second chart, whatever, you can do that. Now, so far, I've just been kind of zooming in and out, and I tell this what I want to see. But you can make it all automatic. So for an example, if I wanted this with no gap at the top and no gap at the bottom, and that I wanted it all to auto update, I just go into the chart settings and it talks about auto fitting the chart. Do you want it to continuously auto fit the chart, or do you want to do it on your own? So if you hit that drop down menu, you can tell it, yeah, just do the bars, or you can tell it, yeah, do everything. So if you've got indicators that are sticking off of the screen, it will compress everything to bring those indicators onto the screen for you, or you can leave it turned off and then you do all of the zooming on your own. There's a little bit of a shortcut to that. Your mouse wheel, if you were to move around your mouse wheel with just rolling it, then it stretches out your chart. You can, of course, just left click and drag and then scroll and left click and drag. But if you hold the control key down, or excuse me, shift, and you run your mouse wheel, it will allow you to stretch the chart up and down, not left and right. All right, so a little bit of a hotkey trick, or where your mouse is located. So here in the middle of the chart, I roll the mouse wheel, it's trying to go left and right. If I move my mouse to where the numbers are at and I roll the mouse wheel, it goes up and down. So I don't have to touch the keyboard. I just have to position my mouse in the right spot. You can turn the volume profile on as a part of the chart settings, but you can also turn the volume profile on through the drawings tool. They've got a really interesting drawing set that will automatically update these different drawings. They've got like regression channels, volume profiles, things like that, and it will update your drawing for you when new candles come out. Kind of like that. It's pretty cool. They also have the orders from the dome. So, I mean, I get it, the market's closed. Let's try to find something that closed with more orders sitting there. The MES used, yeah, there's still some contracts. So here we're looking at the MESU. And if you turn on depth of market, it will show those orders from the dome on the chart, right? It's called market depth right there, a little check mark next to it. And as you can see, we've got these red and green bars showing up here on the chart. Well, those red and green bars are from the dome over here. Man, lag is nuts. All right, so you could turn that on and off by going to the settings menu. Let's get into these drawings. If you want to turn on or off your crosshairs, it's right here on the side. You can also turn on and off the snap. That will help you put your lines on a particular spot on the candle. Global crosshairs is if you have, say, some floating charts or multiple charts and you want to see your cursor on all of those charts at the same time. So you can turn that on and off. I don't really use the data box, but I get why they have it. Yeah, I would like it better if I could tell it what I want in there, and we can't. So to me, it's kind of worthless, but yeah, whatever, to each their own. All right, so the drawing tools. If you've got drawings on there, you can lock them in place. That way you don't accidentally delete them. I really like that feature. I wish we had that on Thinkorswim because I delete lines on there and that sucks. But you can also turn all of your lines off all at once. I do like that. Turn them all off and then turn them all back on. Remove them all at once. And you can synchronize your charts so that if you draw a line here, it will update on your other chart, which is nice. But you got to go to sync charts on each one of your charts and turn that feature on. Otherwise, it won't just automatically update it. So here, this chart is synchronized. If I go to my 5-minute, I would also have to check to see if this one is synchronized, and it is. And if I wanted it on the 10, then I'd have to go in and do it again, and it is. So I'm going to just draw something real quick. It really doesn't matter what it is. Just pick something. Pick a shape. Oh, come on. So I drew a box. If I want to edit the settings of this box, notice my mouse changes. I got a regular cursor. When I get close to the edge, it turns into a hand. That's letting you know, hey, you can do something different now than you could a minute ago. And it brings up these little dots in the lower left corner and the upper right corner of that drawing, letting me know that those are points where I can interact with this. So I can go there. Notice my mouse changed again. It's not the hand. Now it's that kind of compass looking 4-corner icon look. So it changed again, telling me, hey, there's new things that you can do. So I can resize this, reshape it. But what if I want to change the colors? Maybe I don't like these. So a quick double tap with the left button, you get the box. make whatever changes you want to make. And if you only want to do it once, just make your changes, apply them, and close it, no problem. If you want to make that your new box, then you can save it as a default. Now, if you've already got something and you want another one, rather than going all the way back to the menu and going to the box, turning it on, you can just duplicate the existing drawing and use that one. If you use the control key and double click, now you got two boxes. It works for any of your drawings. It doesn't have to be a box. As I mentioned earlier, it does have a volume profile in the drawings, which this is kind of handy because maybe you only want a profile of a very small amount of price action. You can use the drawing tool for that. That way, it only goes where you wanted it to go. You're not trying to put a profile on for the entire day, right? Just for that small area that you wanted the profile for. Then, if you want it to auto update, you can start it, say, in the last 5 minutes, and you want it to start from that 5 minutes going forward. You would just take the right side of that thing all the way up to the last price. And from that point on, it will auto update for you. I'm pretty sure this is going to be hard to see on the Zoom, but there's usually a little almost invisible line that will pop up underneath these drawings. And that little invisible line is where you can often grab that drawing and move it to the right side. This one didn't pop up with a drawing, so we're going to use a different one. Maybe something like a channel. All right, now before I end this drawing, notice as I'm moving it around, there's two lines, one on the left side and one on the right side, that are underneath the channel. They're probably hard to see in the Zoom, but those two are like handles. So once you've got the drawing made, if you bring your mouse back up to it, they reappear sticking out down on the bottom of that drawing, so that you have a starting point or something to grab. So that you can update your drawing. If you get it all the way to the right, it will continue to update at that point for any new candles that come along. Now, one really nice thing that I like about this broker, but a lot of brokers have this, I know Ninja's got some version of it too, is to look at your trade results. So if we go in here, show you how I got there, it's where it has your daily margin and your initial margin up at the top. If you left click on that, you bring up this account report page, and you can go in and you can get your stats for what kind of trading you've been doing. What was your win rate? What was your loss rate? Your average winning size, your average losing side. It doesn't give risk to reward, but it gives you all of the information that you need to be able to calculate your own risk to reward. You can break that down by individual products, different times of day. I have had people say that it doesn't do a really good job if you try to go back really far. I've never tried, so I don't know, but I have had people complain about that. So don't be surprised, say, if you try to get last year's trade results and it gives you an error saying you're trying to go back too far. But what's too far? I don't know. I tend to do my reports every day, or, you know, at the worst, I'll be a day late when I do my reports. So I don't know. I've never tried to go that far back. And that's the broker. Short, sweet, simple, easy. And again, they do have a YouTube page. They also have a very, very large frequently asked questions site on their website, and like a big blog place where everybody kind of hangs out and nerds out, asks questions, and tries to get changes and updates to the platform. So it's certainly worth going over to the website and looking at any of that stuff if you want even more information on this broker. But it's just a broker, just like any other broker. It doesn't have any secret sauce, no campaigns to success. Just another broker. Which I tend to like this broker. They continue to make updates. That's kind of a good and a bad, you know, though, just like every broker who tries to make things better, sometimes they'll make a change and break the damn thing, and then it takes a day or two for them to fix it. But every broker's done that. I've seen it happen with Thinkorswim and Ninja and IBKR. At some point, they all do it. They try to do something really big, and then it breaks everything, and they got to try to figure out what they broke. But they are constantly working on new features. It just recently got sold too. I believe that Ninja owns it now. As long as Ninja doesn't enact its policies that it was using with its own site, I'll continue to use this. And it does have paper. You access paper by the login. So when you go to log in, it asks, hey, do you want paper or do you want to be on your live account? Unfortunately, at least so far as I can tell, you have to log out and then log back in. If you want to swap from paper to live or live to paper and back and forth, you have to log out. I get it, right? They do that so that people don't accidentally swap over and then, you know, say, oh, it's not my fault, I lost, I thought I was in paper. So, I mean, I get it, but it's a pain in the butt if you're going to try to swap, you know, from live to paper and back to live, and you got to keep logging out. Any questions on the broker? Yes? No? Crickets? Yeah, it's a lot. I hate swapping to a new broker. I've got 15 different brokers, and I had to learn to use every one of them. And I mean, for the most part, you know, they kind of all have the same things mostly, but they'll have like funny names for it. Just like here with the quote board and things like that. Why couldn't they just call it a watch list like everybody else? You know what I mean? Like, they didn't have to make it complicated. But button wise, you know, it pretty much does the same thing that all the other brokers do, which is why I started out this webinar by saying, if you're losing on your broker that you're on now and you suck at trading, going to a new broker isn't going to help. But I've seen people do that. Well, I've had a hard time with Ninja. It won't show me my candles, or it won't do what I want it to do. I get it. Believe me, just like with shoes, maybe you can't explain why you don't like using a particular broker and you want a different one. And just like with shoes, it would impact your outcome, right? Because I mean, I've worked with people that had bad shoes on that day, and their work sucked, and they were normally good, hardworking people. So it'd be the same thing with charts. Yep, I've been using this for a while, and I stumble across things that all the time, right? Like on accident, I'll just find a new feature that I didn't even know was there. Like, cool, that's nice to stumble across. So yeah, I'm glad I could add to that. I will say that trying to import indicators, say I was to share an indicator and I wanted to give it to everybody, trying to get that imported is a particular kind of frustration. I don't have any to share anyways, but if I did, it sucks. The import process, or if you write a code and you decide you want to share your workspace or share your indicators, sucks. The workspace isn't so bad, right? If I was to just like try to share the workspace, but indicators they're finicky, and it just seemed like it wasn't wanting to put it where it was supposed to go, and it would get lost. And I don't know, they have made changes to that in a year, and I haven't shared indicators for a while, so maybe it works better now. For the drawings to duplicate, you have to hold down the control key and then double left click. So here I've got a drawing. If I hold down control and double left click really fast, it should have duplicated that. Oop, let's remove it and put on a regular drawing. Maybe there's some that it won't duplicate. So there's a drawing. Now I've got two, right? So hold control down and double left click, and you get another one. But it didn't do it on the channel. So there seems to be some drawings where it won't do that. So you change the time frames here in the upper left corner where it says 5 minute on mine. I can click on that and change it to different one. And if you got multiple charts, it would be the same way. I tend to only have one chart showing like this, and then I just bounce from chart to chart. But that's because I'm usually running my Think or Swim in the background, and I've got, you know, the bonds, the indexes, the dollar. I got all of those other screens, and the only thing that I need showing here is just the screen that I'm going to trade on. So generally, I just use the tabs. But if you've got charts in the same spot, it would work the same way. When you move your mouse up into that corner area, notice there's nothing showing, right? And then when I move my mouse in that area, it pops up. If you don't want it to disappear, if you want it to always be there, just lock it into place, and then it'll stay there. It won't disappear. So this is what we call a boutique broker. Ninja, Tradovate, Infinity. They are a specialized broker trying to provide really just one thing: access to the futures, and preferably for people with smaller accounts, because they got a different commission schedule than regular brokers. They have a different fee structure, and they have different margin requirements than regular brokers. So a boutique broker like this is not your all-around kind of one-size-fits-all broker like Thinkorswim. Thinkorswim tries to offer a little bit of everything for everybody, and these brokers don't. But they do offer, in a limited fashion, equity. So if you wanted to look at like Tesla or Apple or something like that, it's just a part of the data package. I don't have it activated, so if I tried to do that, it would just look like delayed data, but it is there. As far as I'm concerned, when I turn this broker on, I just want to trade the futures. I don't want to mess around with all the other stuff, because I've already got my Thinkorswim normally running in the background. And if I want to look at something, I'll use my Thinkorswim for that. This broker does link to TradingView, and that's my backup. I live on my trading, so I can't just call timeout if the broker breaks and not trade. So I like knowing that I have a backup. I have TradingView anyways because it was my Thinkorswim backup. But now that I get to use it here for my backup, I like it. I like it, right? So I just like knowing that if things go wrong, if Thinkorswim breaks, I've got TradingView. If my Tradovate breaks, I've got TradingView. But it doesn't have these advanced time and sales, and it doesn't have as good of a dome, in my opinion. But it's better than nothing, right? It gets me access to the market in case my broker goes down. So I definitely like that. And then they have trader programs. So if you want reduced commissions or even no commissions, then you pay a flat rate fee, and you trade for the whole month with either those reduced commissions or no commissions at all. For the way that I trade, I don't need that. That would be a waste of money. I tried to use it once and I wasn't getting my money's worth. All right. But if you're taking, hundreds of trades a day, you would definitely benefit from some kind of trader program. Keep in mind, we got Options Omega today at 3 o'clock. They're going to be coming in and giving a presentation in the stocks and options channel. And they are an options backtesting company. So just like with any other broker, guys, the main reason that we want a broker with paper is not so that we can go in and try to make paper money, because that's worthless. It's so that you can go in and push all the buttons and not have to worry about accidentally blowing up your account, right? You can go in and get used to the buttons, get used to building orders, putting on and taking off trades, and just get really familiar with the broker. That's the beauty of being on a paper account, right? Tasty Trades does not have paper, and it has a very unique dome. The only way you can learn it is just to you just got to go in and do it live, and that sucks. So, having a broker that's new to you, where you can go to paper and, kind of kick the tires and get used to working on the thing without breaking it or without having to trade live, that's a huge benefit. It's just like anything else. The more you use it, the more comfortable you will be with it, especially if you take the time to check out the things that they offer, right? Their educational tools on their website, on their YouTube page. Just picking up those little tips and tricks to use it a little bit easier. So if there's no other questions, we'll call it a wrap, and I will get this video rendered and put onto the Bullish Bears YouTube page. That way you guys can watch the replay if you need it, right? It'll be there. We went through a lot, so I would not be surprised if you're going to need to watch it a few times if you are new to the broker and you haven't really seen these features before. You know, there's no big hurry. It's still the weekend as far as I'm concerned. So I'll get it done today, but I don't want to say how fast it'll be done. I do want to be here and participating when Options Omega shows up, so shouldn't take too long. This video is not a really long video. Yep. So that's it, guys. See you all at 3 in the other room.